Hello, music fans. Welcome back for another segment of What's New 2022. I'm going to talk about 6 albums that were released over the past week, mostly on Friday, June 17th, although some of these were released a little bit before Friday. And I'll talk about them in my order of preference and give some first impressions, starting it off with an album from Charlie Griffiths called Tiktaalika. He's the guitarist from Haken, and this is his first solo album. It's a progressive metal album. It features Tommy of Between the Buried and Me on vocals on some of the songs, and there's other guest vocalists on here as well. He has a guest keyboard solo from Jordan Rudess of Dream Theater, and this is something that if you're a fan of Between the Buried and Me, Haken, Dream Theater, Devin Townsend, Metallica, it kind of like blends all those styles together. A really solid progressive metal album, pretty close to being on par with the solo album from Richard Henshaw, the other guitarist of Haken. So they're both really great when they work together, and they also are releasing great material when they're on their own. The second album that I'm going to talk about is from the band White Ward, and it's called False Light. This is experimental post-black metal. This is their third album. It's actually just really beautiful and atmospheric, but also crushingly heavy and brutal. There's a lot of smooth jazz sections and saxophone, but then those get followed by blast beats and black metal shrieks. One of my favorite black metal albums of the year so far. And third, I'm going to talk about Dur and Grey. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. That's the band name. They're a Japanese band, and they released their 11th album called Phalaris. This is avant-garde progressive metal with a lot of different influences ranging from alternative to death metal to gothic and new metal. This is definitely an amazing band. They have some screams, they have some clean singing. I'm surprised I haven't done a deep dive on them yet. I think I'm going to have to now after hearing this album. I'm going to have to listen to everything that they've done. Fourth one I'm going to talk about is from the band Oni, and the album's called Loathing Light, and this is a Canadian prog metal band. It's kind of progressive metalcore with some Djent vibes, a lot of groove metal influence. They have a track featuring Iggy Pop and Randy Blythe from Lamb of God, which is pretty cool that they got such big names to be featured on their songs. And their music is very groove oriented. If you're a fan of Lamb of God, you'll probably like this. And another one that I'm going to talk about is the band Tungsten with their album Bliss. This is their third album. They're a heavy / power metal band. It's formed, they're a Swedish band, and they're formed by the ex-Hammerfall drummer Anders Johansson and his 2 sons. I'd say if you're a fan of Hammerfall, you'll probably like this, except I'm going to say a hot take here that this album is even better than Hammerfall's last album. It's got that traditional heavy metal, heavy power metal sound, but there's also some modern sounds in there, like some lower chugging guitar parts from time to time, and there's some synthesizers. So a lot of cool twists and turns there, but really catchy melodies too. And lastly, I'm going to talk about a release from the band Rings of Saturn. It's their self-titled album, and this is their 6th album. This is instrumental technical death metal. There's some progressive influences, some deathcore influences in there. There's some really cool compositions on here. All the instruments sound programmed to me. I didn't really look into it, but it seems pretty obvious to spot programmed guitars. I know the sound well because I used to make music with programmed guitars, and my friend Joey did too. And these guitars sound exactly like our guitars sounded in our program music. So I'm not sure if they're admitting that they're programmed guitars. They sound like programmed guitars to me, but they're pretty cool compositions either way, and I know that the guitar players in this band could probably execute on them live pretty well as well. So if you don't really care that they're programmed guitars and you just want to hear some cool music, I recommend checking it out. I do prefer a more natural sounding guitar though, so that's my complaint about this one. And that's it for this week. Until next time, peace out.